From the New England Air Museum, FlightSimCon 2016 and AirDailyX.net, I am here with Scott and Jake from A2A Simulations, and as all of you know, there were some interesting things going on over the last week, something a little bit cryptic they're about ready to unveil. But first, Scott, we're looking at the good old Stratocruiser here. Tell me a little bit about that.
Now, Andre, remember you told me that you don't have this product, so I'm going to talk to you as somebody who's not familiar with it. This was originally released 8 years ago. It was the kickoff of AccuSim. And AccuSim was really an experiment because when we were developing this plane, we expected the plane to be released before Christmas. And what happened was, as we started researching the aircraft and the systems, everything from manifold pressure to oil temperature, cylinder head temp, we would fix, I can't remember the first thing we fixed, but we had to fix something. I think it was manifold pressure. And once we fixed that, then we found something else was broken. And it literally went around the horn. You're looking at an engineer's panel for the Boeing 377, which is a very complicated piston engine airplane. So you're basically looking almost at a blueprint of a combustion engine here. This has to be right. So literally everything from the oil to the cooling to the fuel system to the turbochargers to pressurization, even the air conditioning, we had to create this so it was real according to the book. And we realized we were going down a new path. This simply doesn't exist. Before AccuSim 8 years ago, there was nothing like this. When you flew a plane, there was no management. I don't care what simulator you pull up, it was just not happening. So this was all brand new stuff. We predicted 8 years ago when this came out that 20% of the customer base would reach for this AccuSim pack, because they didn't even know what AccuSim was. It was this realism pack. Sounds and shaking and physics and all sorts of good stuff. And when it came out, it was exactly the opposite.
Wow.
80% reached for the AccuSim pack.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was the best day of my life. Because the company was, we put out great products. We had some really bad deals with some publishers overseas, and they were really messing with us financially. So this had to happen. This was a great day for A2A, because it was an online instant download. The cash was coming in, and we saw the business starting to skyrocket. So the 377 really represents the beginning of our company. So anyway, we put this thing out. We realized we had a swell of interest, and suddenly our biggest problem became, oh my God, what have we done? The cat's out of the bag, people want more. So our biggest fear were competitors were going to start making AccuSim. So we were like frantic to really find streamlined ways to meet the demand. So that was 8 years ago. And then 5 years ago, we developed Captain of the Ship. Captain of the Ship is not about all of this technical stuff. This is great. This is all there in Captain of the Ship. Captain of the Ship is about being the captain of a smart, intelligent crew. Engineer, co-pilot, navigator, even a flight attendant. What a flight attendant's life is like. And I should be looking at the camera.
No, it's fine. No, it's
but anyway.
Yeah.
And also passengers, live passengers. Captain of the Ship is all about being the captain and making decisions about the people in the back, because that's everything. When you're flying an airliner with people in the back, you don't take anything for granted. You don't kick the rudder.
Right.
You kick the rudder, drinks might fall over.
Right.
Sometimes people are sleeping back there. Sometimes they're eating. All sorts of stuff is going on.
And in flight simulation, it's difficult for us to think about that because there's no one standing behind us. So how do you get that idea into a flight simulation pilot? Captain
of the Ship, we have a cult following of Captain of the Ship. 5 years later, people are still flying the heck out of this plane. I still feel like there's a huge untapped audience out there, which is why we're really excited about doing another Captain of the Ship airplane. Because the Boeing Stratocruiser, as beautiful as it is and as iconic as it is not a well-known plane. People, kids don't go, oh my God, I want to fly a Stratocruiser. They think of other planes. When they fly, think of military, they think of P-51 Mustangs and Spitfires. They don't think of other
Even
types.
in my case, because I'm a fan of classic airliners as well, but the Stratocruiser is never registered on my radar until the A2A version. because I would listen to the guys on TeamSpeak and their group flights, and they would tell me how fast they're going. And I'm thinking, wow, there's no way that thing is going this fast. They're giving me their speed readouts. And then that's when I really started getting interested. And the other thing is why did A2A choose this plane? Because in my opinion, I thought that's not the sexiest of the classic airliners out there, but there was a reason why. What's the real reason why you chose a Stratocruiser to be the big first thing out the door for A2A?
Once we saw the plane, it kind of intrigued me. I admit, when I saw it, I said, I'm sorry, I said, that is a very ugly plane. How can we do an ugly plane? That was my first impression. But I'll tell you something, as time went by, because I talked to some guys, I remember I was talking to a 377 or a C987 pilot, and I said, the challenge of this project is going to be the plane is not really a good-looking plane. We might have a sales issue going on because people like to fly good. And he looked at me and goes, I was insulted. He goes, what are you talking about? It's not good looking. I thought it was one of the most beautiful airliners I've ever flown.
Right.
And I think I insulted the guy. So that was very, very early in the development. The first couple of weeks we decided to do the 377. The main issue I was having with, we're going to spend all this time. We need to sell product. But I'll say though, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it, it started looking better and better looking. And while we're developing it, I was with that guy. I think I lost contact with him. I always wanted to call him back and tell him that, you know what, it is a beautiful plane.
Now here's the thing about the Stratocruiser, because I don't think there's any more flying, right? Are there any preserved versions still in service?
This is the great thing. Tim Chope at the Berlin Airlift is about to fly his C97, which is the cargo version of this plane. I'm good friends with Tim. I've been knowing him, 5 years now. We visit him and stuff. We got him set up the simulator. We have a quote, actually, we're going to put up with Tim that he said about us. The most common thing Tim says to me in the phone, he goes, Scott, your simulator has changed my life. Wow. Yeah. He goes, I can't tell you enough. I fly this thing every day. He's been flying it literally every day for 4 years, but we're talking 4 times a week.
Wow.
For like 4 years. Every time I talk to him, it's like, last night I was flying IFR into such and such. He's using this to train the crew. We're setting up with a new simulator. I'm setting him up with a single jetline system that is going to have his panel, similar to this. We're going to have certain buttons for him so he can fly the plane, and right next to him is going to be a chair for his engineer. So we're going to have a really cool simulator where he can actually talk and they can go through all their procedures. He is stoked.
But here's the real thing, though. Did you actually, because there aren't really that many probably out that are preserved, how did you get all that data
military
to build
manuals.
this?
The best manuals in the world are American military manuals.
Wow, okay.
By far, that is one thing you can't argue. They're absolutely incredible. So when you get a C97 manual from the U.S. military, this thing was tested, so we have a lot of great data. But anyway, Tim's going to be flying the plane in about 6 weeks.
Wow.
So it's very exciting while we're developing this new product. And all these products are always in constant development. There are some wishes that he has that we're addressing right now. But, so there it is. That's pretty much, I think I'm pretty much, one thing I wanted to give an example. Because I also made a tips for our existing customers. A tips for Stratocruiser customers. I try to avoid doing this. I don't want to give people secrets. But as I was writing these tips, they were common sense things. And I wrote them down here. I'm not going to go through the whole line. But I just wanted to say one thing. My first tip was be considerate. Be a considerate captain. Think. For example, you go to the Stratocruiser. You're starting a new flight. When you start the flight, let me just reload this, and this is what you're going to get.
Now, mind you, we're doing the work of 3 people here. Would that be an accurate assessment?
Yeah, but the AI crew
will cover that.
takes care of everything that you want him to. And the crew even talks to you. Their tone even change. I didn't want to tell anybody this. I've never told anybody this in 8 years. Their tone will change based on your reputation.
No kidding.
So if you have a really bad reputation, you're doing pretty badly, and there's storms out, for example, you'll hear a tone in their voice of concern. We do that.
I didn't know that.
We do that for the. But of course, then if your reputation starts going really up, they'll start throwing you compliments.
Wow.
So I'm going to reload this, and the people who fly the Stratocruiser are used to coming into the plane, and they get basically a greeting.
Good afternoon, Captain. Good afternoon, sir.
Career mode off. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Heidi. Hello, Heidi.
getting ready for a fresh new flight.
So we started.
Obviously, they're very nice to you.
Well, they're nice.
You know how to fly it.
Well, they're nice to you because I haven't flown enough to be good or bad. I'm just I'm a legitimate captain. So the whole process begins, and at this point you can start loading the aircraft real time. If I clicked load here, I'm going to click medium, and you can hear.
Report to the gate. We are about to start boarding the aircraft, Captain. We're just loading up now.
Now you might recognize that voice. That's our Lewis. He's the cargo guy running around loading bags and stuff. And so what's happening now is you will watch, this slowly will populate. See, we're watching here and watching, and
so there are physically
there we
passengers
go.
boarding. There it is.
A passenger just got on, and they're just headed for that seat. So basically, they're slowly going to load. You hear that?
Those are people boarding sounds.
You're actually hearing them throwing the bags around. Lewis is being a little rough with the bags.
There we go.
He's throwing them. So if you actually go to and listen through that door, you'll eventually hear voices. We have voices for each of these. It increases. So as the cabin increases, you can start to hear it now. You can hear people are starting. They're starting to load. So everything's starting now. At this point, you might say to Larry, your engineer, say, Larry, prepare the aircraft.
Okay, Captain. I'll let you know when I'm all set.
And there he's doing it. I see.
He talks out loud about what he's doing. Pressurization set. And this is the thing. Larry is thinking now. He's scanning. It's a human scan. This isn't just setting ram air. You see some switches going. He's actually scanning the system. Like now he's doing the intercoolers. And there are, like I said, Larry isn't perfect. He's a very well-trained guy. He doesn't miss much. But there are natural human delays.
Human delays, but they won't make any errors, per se, would they?
No, Larry's not going to completely mess up. And if Larry screwed up in any fundamental way, we would have caught that already. So Larry's a pretty good engineer. So he's all set to go. And once these people are loaded, you'll hear Heidi back there talking about getting the people ready, about seatbelts and getting the cabin ready. And then the captain will come on, and all of these people, the crew, are actually listening and observing.
We're all buttoned up back here.
See, we're all buttoned up. And so
Cargo is loaded and the doors are just shutting now.
all this stuff is happening dynamically.
It really gets you thinking more like you're a captain of an aircraft with people on board. I definitely
it's
understand.
never the same. No two flights are ever the same. See?
Start our pre-flight and get this bird in sky.
It goes to this historical blurb. And it's
Now,
really
whose
cool.
voice is that? That's a pretty voice.
She's actually a friend of my wife's, and she's unbelievable. I gave her a laundry list. There are over 1,400 sound files that are randomly generated. Sentences are constructed, so they're not just full sentences. They're constructed and inserted intelligently. Like if the weather's different, the captain will make a comment. But it's all dynamic, and if we start taxiing, the crew knows we're taxiing. If we start to take off, the crew knows we're taking off. If we're climbing, they know we're climbing. Know this stuff because they observe and they watch it, and they will basically, do what the crew does. And lastly, the thing I just wanted to say was, if it was a really cold morning, this is one of the tips. Really cold, you don't just load passengers onto a freezing cold airplane. They would never do that. Right. And of course, that would affect your reputation as a captain, because what's going to happen is they're going to complain to the airline. They're going to say, what the heck was going on? The airplane was like 20 degrees. Right. So you have to be considerate. Take the time, get in here. Larry's taking care of everything for you. But if you don't let him take care of it, you got to turn the body heater on. You got to turn the APU on. Let the plane get warm and then make the call for the people to get in.
That's amazing.
That's just one of so many things.
So after the successful release of this, it's been quite a few years, like you said, 6 years before the thinking, or maybe a little bit less than that, before the thinking, we've got to do something like this again for an aircraft of this size.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've been thinking about this for a long time.
And this actually puts me at ease, because I had even overheard a comment from someone who was passing your booth, and they said, "Oh, that's the A2A Stratocruiser. I don't have it. It's just way too complicated because I know it's real." So having that captain of the ship program really shows that you do have the assistance of having a full crew to operate this aircraft.
Yes, and this one's for Lewis, because Lewis is probably getting mad that I haven't mentioned this yet. By the way, I just started the engines, not looking at what I'm doing, so I got to put the brakes on. Yeah, if you ever want to fly this, everything counts, right? But if I don't want this to count, I just come in here and click in this career mode. Oh, wait a minute. Here, let me listen.
This is your captain. We're just running through some final system checks, and we'll be ready to go in a few minutes. It's nice weather for flying, so relax and enjoy your flight.
So it knows the weather that you've pre-programmed.
On board to serve you.
Yeah, it's all dynamic.
That's amazing.
You'll be climbing. He'll let you know when you start cruising. He'll let you know when you're descending. He'll let you know. The stewardesses prepare the cabin for takeoff or landing. It's so cool how it works.
I can't believe this technology is 6 years old. This sounds like something that you'd be looking forward to come out.
This is what I mean. There's a cult following,
Amazing.
and I do believe this next airplane will wake up to realize that any airline, this is the coup de grace. This is the experience. All right, so look, we may as well just get right to the announcement.
The announcement.
Ready?
Who's doing the announcement here?
Jake can do the announcement. But we're gonna. Okay, I was thinking. Well,
First, let's talk about this whole cryptic thing that you guys going on, because you release a screenshot. Something's missing in this box, and then there's something, little pattern or something there on the ramp. People are trying to put it together, and I saw a lot of guesses out there. Give us the background on that.
But if I tell you, then you're gonna know what the plane is, right?
Okay, so
what I'll do is I was thinking I'd bring the plane in and show guys out there the cockpit, because see if they recognize it. So
now they're going to see the airplane when you select it from the menu, right?
Not if I put my big head in front of the way.
So I'm going to cover the camera.
Here it goes. It's going in. We're good.
All right. Oh, it's already loading. Okay, here we go. Here it is.
Now I'm going to put the microphone down here for a second.
Good afternoon, Captain. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
I heard someone say hi, everyone, and welcome.
Oh, because this is based on Captain of the Ship. We have not brought the new crew into the new aircraft.
Okay.
So the old crew is there now, but they'll be replaced by the new crew soon.
I see. Are we still using the same vocals from before, or you've got everything from scratch, new people, everything? Wow.
There you go. And if you look around the back,
The quality of that texturing is just insane. Look at that.
let me show you something here. I'm sorry, I'm messing around with the camera here. Look at those seats.
Look at that detail. Wow. Those gauges are very crisp.
Now I'll give you a hint here.
Okay.
Well, this isn't for all of these planes, but we have dual superchargers here. So here you have a mixture over here, and you have right here, superchargers in low, and you can switch these superchargers to high. It is a dual-speed supercharger in each of these engines, whereas the 377 is turbocharged. All right, so I know some people already know what the plane is
I'm sure
by looking out there. But, all right, and we'll go to the outside, and here we go. There she is. There she is.
Oh my God. And you put it in the TWA livery too, which is my favorite. There she is. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, look at that shine. Look at those effects.
Yeah. Poor Rob was scrambling to finish some of the painting, but it's going to change quite a bit by the time it's out. But you'll notice this is a technique we developed years ago. We can actually see the ribs and the way
Look
the
at
aircraft
that.
is
Yeah.
constructed.
You can see, right, like you can see like all the rivets
Yeah.
in there and the ribs, everything.
And the metal's wavy. And over time, they replace panels. So some of the panels, a little bit of a different color. You don't, because things can happen. Look at that. It's
oh my gosh. That is magnificent.
So there she is. It's
Now that is one beautiful aircraft.
And you know why this is beautiful? Because it's the original model 049 Constellation.
And that's the big thing is which one. I knew that you guys were unveiling, but I didn't know which one it was going to be.
This is before they stretched it and started to. Once they started messing with it, it lost its. It kind of. I don't want to insult people, but it just doesn't look like the original. This was created. The lines are beautiful. It's perfect, and. There was a single-speed supercharger version that flew for about 6 months, starting in like February, then it went to the summer, and then they retooled it and brought back the dual speed. And we were really talking about whether we wanted to be really, get that single-speed supercharger in there. But we opted to do the dual speed because we have all the technology, so much supercharger technology already done. The Mustang is a dual-speed supercharger.
Right.
So it's the same approach to supercharging. So it's really cool. You kick in that high gear and that manifold pressure really goes up. So there she is. And Andre, I'm just proud.
She's fresh out of the hangar, just rolled out.
Yeah, and I'm proud to have you announce the plane. You do an outstanding job.
There she is. There it is.
Yep.
That is it. She's not ready for us to fly just yet.
No, we'll be in beta probably in a couple weeks.
Beta in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're looking at probably mid to end of summer.
Parallel development. Rob was working on this plane while we were doing the T6.
And I wanted to ask you about that because I remember asking you about that when we spoke before about this parallel development and how that worked between the teams between this and the Texan going on. And I remember you telling me that it actually worked out really well doing these products together. So going forward for the next projects in the future, do you think this is a level that A2A will be operating now in the future in terms of working on multiple aircraft at once?
I don't know. It's so unpredictable in doing aircraft. We have to respond. We have to respond quickly to the environment around us, and that's really what I think any business survival is based on, not being stagnant. So I can't really predict out too far, but I know where this one is coming out next because it's in beta. We don't like to announce planes early, but this is coming out. It's in beta, so.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get my hands on that. And now I'll be able to get acquainted with Captain of the Ship.
Oh yeah. And I think of it as Beauty and the Beast, really.
Yeah,
because
I would agree with that.
When if people are going to first experience Captain of the Ship with this one, they might look at the Stratter Cruiser because the Stratter Cruiser, it's a beast next to this one. It's a big, fast, powerful, aircraft. And this is very surprisingly fast. I was surprised. We've done a lot of the flight model testing already, and I've tested different cruise altitudes, and it's a little more nimble than the Stratter Cruiser. So it's really a lot of fun to
sure
fly.
it moves
The
too.
Strat is really slow moving around. This isn't quite that slow. You feel a little more in control of it, and so it's a different experience. So anyway, we're just excited, and
just really quickly, so you say we're 2 weeks from beta, roughly.
Yeah.
When did this project start? How long has this been in development?
We had this constellation sort of somewhere on our minds many years ago. We almost did the Connie way back when the 377, so we had already researched the plane. I had about 5 books back then, really good definitive constellation books I was reading, and so it kind of there was. I think we had a model that we started. I'm not sure whether we whether we ended up using any of that original model here, but this has been basically in Robert Rogalski, our lead modeler, his plate for exclusively right now.
Wow.
So he's doing.
Let's give him a raise.
Well, normally our guys work together, and they do always work together on planes, but we kind of split it out a little bit, and we weren't quite sure how that was going to work out, but it worked out great. So.
Well, clearly, it's beautiful.
Oh, Jake told me some trivia about the triple tail. Tell him why it's got a triple tail.
Well, most people probably know, but when they designed the Connie, they had first had a single tail, and because of that, they couldn't fit in a hangar, so they just split it up into 3 smaller tails that had the same effectiveness. And you can see that in like the Anatov 225.
I did not know that.
Isn't that awesome?
I did not know that. Actually, Jake he knows his stuff. Many of you may not know, but Jake helps
works
run
here.
this museum, and he gave us a little bit of his own tour, and he taught me things that I didn't know.
Becoming a
This is
historian.
absolutely. I wonder if there's any screenshots or any pictures out there of a single V-stab Connie. I never knew that.
But I thought that was
Wow, that is.
I'm not sure
really
if they
cool.
built the prototype like that. They probably had it designed on paper, and then they realized, oh, this thing's way too tall to
Well, the
fit in.
tail of the Stratocruiser, and our Stratocruiser supports it, folds down.
Ah.
It's a folding tail.
Awesome. Well, clearly, A2A has a lot of wonderful things coming in the future. The Connie is now here. You guys got to see the exclusive. Beta in a couple of weeks, which means hopefully by the end of summer, you'll be taking off the runway. Excellent job, Scott. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Andre.
much.
Thank you.
Jake, thank you so much. And we look forward to getting this thing off the ground soon.
All righty. Awesome.